Alright guys and girls, we're going to take this 627 horsepower LSA and make it look worthy of being in our 71 C10 chassis. Alright, let's go over what we got here in front of us. So this is a GM LSA engine with a ZL1 lid, but this didn't come out of a car. This is a Marine engine from 7 Marine. If you guys don't know who they are, for a while they were building outboards with the LSA in them. They had, I believe, a 558 horsepower variant, the 627 horsepower variant, and I think they had one that was in the 700s as well. They have since gone defunct. There just was not a big, I mean, there was a lot of hype around it when it first came out, but it kind of seemed like it fizzled off and people went back to their Yamahas and Hondas and all that stuff. They were cool though, because guys had 3 or 4 of these hanging off the back of center consoles, and it was insane. You can still get their crate engines, and they still have full support for anybody that has one of their outboards. So what they did was, as you can see, my oil pan has coolant tubes into it. They changed very little on it, so that's a difference. They had, the way they got 627 out of this was an LS9 cam and a tiny little 2.38 upper pulley. This also has a solid isolator in it already, so we don't have to take that off and get rid of that. Really, they were cool. They just didn't have the public support that they were kind of hoping for. So you can take these things and just adapt them. They're still a car engine. You can put them right into a car. So we have a Holley 302-2 pan, which is your muscle car swap oil pan from Holley. That's going to go on here. I have a complete front drive from Billet Specialties. We have Billet Specialties valve cover adapters that mount plates down here in place of your valve covers and allow you to put an actual small block Chevy valve cover on top of it, and they're all hydrocoil and everything under that. They make them for small block Chevy valve covers. They make them for big block Chevy valve covers as well, I guess, too. What we are going to be doing to this is, this whole engine's getting scuffed and resprayed. This is going to be a shade of bronze. The paint's over there somewhere. I have not actually opened it up yet to look. And we'll be putting on our hooker cast manifolds. We'll be putting that oil pan on. We'll be putting this front drive on. I will be pulling off the blower and the lid and everything so we can paint everything, including the stuff underneath here, because I want to get the whole valley. This is going to be a complete top to bottom. If you look back in my videos from the McDreamy LSA engine, we're going along the same lines of that. Only that one had a Wegner front drive, so this is getting the Billet Specialties. So what we're going to start with is stripping off all this stuff we don't need. We're not using the lower pulley damper assembly because they give you both of those in the kit. Got to remove stuff like these studs here that aren't used in the automotive application. Got to remove our oil pan. We're going to remove, well, stuff like this is Marine, is a remote oil drain. Going to remove the starter, the dipstick, and don't know if we're going to be reusing that starter or not. It's just a regular LS starter, so we may. We'll see. And stuff like these Marine motor mounts, that's all coming off. And once we get it stripped down to where we need to be, I am going to sand the crap out of it, clean it, paint it. We're also running Holley Terminator X Max on this to control this, and our 4L80 that's over there, and a couple of various sensors from Low Dollar Motorsports. I believe we've got a 0 to 100 psi oil pressure one to replace the factory GM one here, and another 0 to 100 psi to put a fuel pressure sensor in as well, so we can monitor that on our laptops or handhelds, whatever we got in there. And then we're going to go put it in that frame over there. That's the whole point of all this, to get it in the frame so we can get the frame back to the paint shop and they can assemble the body around it, so we're not lifting this big hunk of engine and that transmission around fresh paint if a whole body is all together already. Let's see what's behind door number 1. Well, that came off pretty easy. I'm not really sure, because those fittings just go into here. It's not a dry sump system. I'm gonna have to do some looking into that. No, I'm still at a loss. I looked up some stuff, what I could find, and really couldn't find a good answer on it. So the only thing I can figure, and this is an assumption, is that it's using the rear ports to send oil out to an oil cooler system and then dumping it back in through the front of the pan. It's the only thing I can really think of that makes any sense to me, because otherwise I just don't know what they would do just being ported in there. It's not like this was turbo and they had turbo drains or anything, because this was a supercharged motor. But it's just something along the lines with the marine aspect. So it's got to be pumping the oil out through a cooler and then back in through there somehow. So who knows? All right, I'm going to remove the windage tray just to inspect under here, but I'm going to remove our oil pump pickup because we have new stuff that comes with the Holley 302-02 or -2 pan, and all that stuff has to go in, so this will fit in the chassis. It looks like it's pretty good. Let's see. Oop, I'm spilling on myself here. Yeah, our O-ring looks mint, so that's good. I'm just going to put this down, let it drain down out here. Take a look under our windage tray. See what we got going on, if there's any surprises. Hopefully not. All right. Looks like a completely factory bottom end. No ARPs or anything. Let's check on. All the rods feel good. Nothing is discolored down here to give me any indication of something bad. I do have to rotate this engine back over because I have a bunch of residual oil down here I want to drain overnight. But we are looking like we're in great shape to put this back together with what we need. Don't worry, I'm going to get that little piece of rag that just fell in there. Oil squirters are all in place. Everything looks good. All right, well, I did what I should have done at the beginning and put my big drain pan on here instead of using 2 small drain pans. So we are going to let this thing drip drain for the rest of tonight, and we will start going at everything tomorrow under here, putting stuff back together, cleaning stuff up, taking off all these mounts and stuff. I just wanted to get this on here and take a look at the underpinnings before the end of the night today, because it is time to go home. Oh, I got dirt on my camera. So as I said, we are using Holley Terminator to run this. I have not done a LSA on Terminator yet. I've done plenty of normal LSs, but I believe everything we're going to need is just your manifold air temp sensor and your one map sensor that actually reads boost. We won't need a baro sensor, and we won't need this one at the snout either. So I am going to be getting a bunch of block-off ports. We also have, this used to be the purge valve, and this one was the hose for the brake booster. So I'll have to unplug this one, and we'll probably take the throttle body off, stick a vacuum in here, and drill and tap this for a port so we can run something to our brake booster. Because, you know, marine engines don't need brake boosters. But I'm kind of psyched. This is going to be a fun little build. Let me actually, we'll look at what the color is here. Is the color on the outside? Color is not on the outside. Give me a second and I'll open it up. Well, I was hoping the caps would be the color of the paint, but they're not. But this is a dark bronze mist metallic, which I'll see if I can look up somewhere online and give you a little sample over here somewhere. But that is what we're going to be painting that engine with. So blower lid is staying black. The blower, the block, those valve covers aren't going to be there. Everything from the blower lid down minus the valve covers is going to be that bronze mist. These are the valve covers we are using. These are the adapters from Billet Specialties that allow you to use small block Chevy valve covers. These I will also paint the color of the engine so we don't just have bare aluminum down there. And then all the accessories I'm going to unbox either tomorrow or Friday. And unlike the Wegner, which everything in the Wegner was basically powder coated one color or another, the bracketry on the Billet Specialties is powder coated black, but the accessories themselves, like the alternator and stuff, are not. So those I will also be painting engine color. It's going to be a sharp engine. McDreamy is still my favorite engine I've built. Cleanest, just meanest, awesome looking, fully detailed engine. But this is going to come in a close second. This might actually beat out the 69 Chevelle engine I did when we also built McDreamy at the same time. So I'll probably, oh not probably, we will be getting rid of these quick connect fittings and getting a billet manifold with 10AN fittings from Dedicated Motorsports to run our heater lines, or our exchanger lines, I mean, out. And yeah, it's going to be fun. I've got motor mounts for this over there. Came off a mock-up engine that was in the truck. So with that, I'm going to go home for the night, and I'll be back tomorrow. Okay, everybody, it's the next day. So we're going to start, or continue, stripping down all the stuff we need to strip down off of this. I let it drip dry overnight. Couple things we got to look at. So this Holley 302-2 pan. Let's go over this. This is what we call your muscle car swap oil pan. Let me throw you on the camera mount over here. This pan fits pretty much every chassis out there when you're doing an LS swap into something else. You can get away with other pans, yes, but up front here where steering stuff is and where the front of your cross member is usually a very tight spot, and you have to lift the engine in the chassis to get everything to fit by way of the motor mounts. So as you can see, your normal F-body pan will come out to here or so. Some of them come out to here depending on which chassis you're in. And this will be slowly sloped all the way to the end. This, where it kicks down an extra amount here, gives you all that clearance for putting them into any chassis you want to put on. Basically, if you're doing an LS swap, just use this Holley 302-2 pan, or whichever cheap Japanese, this might actually be Japanese too, version that you want to off of Amazon. We have used them all. So one thing you have to do though with this is with your windage tray. Wow, they're going to town over there today. This requires an F-body style windage tray, and I'll show you why. Because if you leave the regular full-length windage tray on, which is your truck and your LSA style, you'll see the front no longer goes down, and you have a big old gap there, and you ain't sealing that. So you can either buy an F-body tray, or you can make one out of your existing tray. So basically you want to take your full-length windage tray from the back, go forward, give it about 1/8 inch of space in front of that bolt hole, and just cut it off and then smooth it out. And what you end up with is something like this, which you can then install, throw your pan down on top of, and now you're flat against the block here. So now if I had my oil pan gasket, I could actually put my pickup on first and then put the gasket on and seal this up. What I can do right now actually is install my pickup tube and this windage tray and get that done. So I ran out of gloves that fit, so I'm wearing extra large right now, so I feel like a lunch lady. The only other thing you might have to do, because this pickover or this crossover mounts over here now. Sometimes on some windage trays you'll have to do a little clearancing in here so that everything fits, but on this one it fits perfect, no problem. So what I'm going to do is put on all of these 13s minus this one, since the pickup tube has to go on there, because you're going to want to tighten these down, mainly these ones, because the pickup tube runs across these, so you can't tighten them once the tube is down. And then we'll put our pickup tube in. They give you a new O-ring to use with their pickup tube and everything. All right, and then our pickup tube. There's your O-ring. Put a little bit of oil on it to just help it get in there. So then go through nice and easy like, because you don't want to tear that O-ring. You're going to have a bad day if you do. Tighten that down, and voila. There's one there, there's one there. The only downside about this is if you're trying to do a timing chain or an oil pump and you're trying to do the sneak with the 10 mil there, it's not going to work anymore, but just don't plan on doing that and you won't have that problem. Throw some tin foil bunched up on top of this pickup, put your pan down on it, see where that sets you. Realize that you're going to be up about another 1/16 of an inch with the gasket thickness, but I know from doing these that they're almost always perfect, so I'm going to just live on the edge. Next, what we can do is we have to bolt our baffle into the bottom of the pan, and then we can bolt our crossover in that they give you as well. Alright, so here's said baffle. You just throw that in. They give you 4 of these bolts here to throw in. Dab a Loctite, put 1, 2, 3, 4 in. Then they give you a brand new GM bypass block off and gasket, throw those in. Then they give you your oil filter mount where you can just thread that in down here and tighten that to spec as well. And there we have it. I just have 2 bolts in it right now just to hold this on here, just to seal this from any dirt and dust that will get in here, because I don't know if my parts are getting here tomorrow, which is Friday, or next week, and I'd rather not leave it open all weekend. So now I'm going to take off the rest of the stuff I need to get rid of, like this stud, that stud, this motor mount. I think there's another bracket over here. Take the starter off, and anything else I can find that is marine related that we are not going to need. All right, for now, everything that needs to be stripped off of this is stripped off of it. We'll be taking, like I said, the damper and the pulleys off. We will be pulling the blower off. I don't want to do any of that until I get all my parts here so I can take it off, spray it, put it all back together so it's not left open. 2 things I got to figure out. So they have these plugs in here, which you're not using for a marine application, but this is my feed for my power brakes. So I've got to pop this plug out, see if I can find the factory style press-in plug. If not, like I said yesterday, we're just going to drill and tap this and put a 3/8 barb on here to go to my brakes over that way. This one, I might leave it in there. This is just where the purge valve was, because I can just put an ICT purge valve block off in here, or I might just leave this itself. So this is going to be vacuum, so any vacuum references I need can be off of this, which I don't really think we're going to have any on this vehicle. I do need a boost reference, because our fuel pressure regulator is boost referenced, so it increases fuel pressure in a 1-to-1 ratio with boost. So I got to get a boost port off of here somewhere. Now factory, the only one that's in here is this one that goes to your boost bypass. I don't know if I want to use that one. On McDreamy, I drilled and tapped and put a 1/8 inch barb, that's the word I was looking for. I just said it 5 seconds ago over there, right here. And that was for, on that truck we ran a pulse width modulated fuel pump, so we were running a VaporWorks kit, and you need that signal because that, raises or lowers the voltage on that pump according to boost pressure. So I may just do that again. I may do it on this side because our fuel regulator is going to be mounted on the firewall somewhere over here. I'm going to take a look into it. I'm going to see if people have had good luck with tapping them in right here. I might tap them in there, but I don't think I want to do that because I would rather it have its own feed than be in the feed for the boost bypass. But I mean, other than that, for right now, we are finished. Because I got no parts. So, a couple of quick little small videos. I will be back with the next part of this once we get some parts in. And we're back. It's the same day. Unfortunately, I'm stuck waiting for parts on every single job I'm working on right now. So, against me not wanting to really open this up until the parts get here for this, we're going to open this up. Here we go. Alrighty, let's see what we're working with here. Oh, this thing's spotless. So, this is a brand spanking new engine. That is awesome. Alright, so I have new gaskets for all this stuff, which I don't think I'm going to need now because these have never even been heat cycled. Next, we're going to take off all these 8mm that are down in here and pull this blower off, which, now that I know this engine's never been cycled, this thing's probably going to pull off like a bear because there's a couple of dowel pins, one on each side here to locate this whole assembly. And then I've also got to pull off my fuel rail. I have to pull it off anyways because we're painting all this stuff, but I need to get my part numbers off of my injectors so I can enter that data into the Terminator when we get to that point. And also have to take off these heat pipes, or steam pipes, sorry. Yeah, that's awesome. And I think this engine was like 17 grand or something, so that is mint. So they must, all the fluids that were in it must just be, you know, their initial, you know, break-in procedure type deal on a dyno. That's badass. All right, let's get this blower off. Alright, so before I can crack this whole blower loose, I've got to undo my breather tube from my valley right here, and I believe that's it. And here is the inside of that boost port for your bypass valve. So I'm going to replicate that in the back here. I don't know which side. So like as I said, my fuel regulator is going to be mounted up here. The hose is going to come off of that, so I might just go in with the fuel line and break it off and just go straight into here so it comes straight out basically into my regulator. But yeah, enough of that. You guys want to see me take a supercharger off, don't you? Alright, let's see what we got. Actually, being that this is a brand spanking new motor, this might not even fight me popping this blower off. Okay, that should be everything. It's gonna come right off. Okay, let me make some room over here because it's heavy and I don't want to be manhandling the thing. Oh, jeez, yeah. I forgot how heavy these blowers are. Ooh. All right. Well, they definitely did their paint job with the blower still on here, but I'm not going to do mine like that. But yeah, this engine, I'm going to show you these intake ports. This engine definitely has not been run because those ports are spotless. Beautiful. Got a nice, new, shiny, awesome engine to work with here. Alrighty. I guess I might as well pull the crank pulley off while I'm in here. Then I've got to find a table to bring over here so I can unbox all of our Billet Specialties True Track stuff. Well, that's literally everything I need to take off of this thing mechanically. So the only other thing we'll be taking out when I get ready to scuff and paint it is, of course, we'll be pulling all the sensors off, knock sensors, cam sensor, crank sensor on the other side. Might as well pull out the coolant temp sensor. This can stay in here and get painted because this is getting replaced with one from Low Dollar Motorsport, because this connector does not fit on the Holley Terminator. The Holley Terminator has the smaller 3-pin, and so does the Low Dollar Motorsport. I know this just from past experience. And that would be it. So yeah, so it looks like this thing was even sprayed. They do their paint with the engine completely assembled, because these are your 3 legs off of the crank pulley. But yeah, I wouldn't mind pulling the valve covers off and throwing on the Billet Specialties adapters that we have, but there's no reason for that yet, and these are sealed, so that way I can just spray. I don't have to worry about overspray on the other valve covers or anything. And that's it. So we've got our lid, we've got our blower, got a crank pulley we're not reusing. I guess I'm going to clean off this counter space up here and lay out all of our Billet Specialties True Track stuff. Alright, so here is the haul out of those boxes. All the bracketry, all the pulleys are powder coated or anodized black already. You've got all your stainless hardware. I've got a new crank bolt. I've got to open these boxes, but from assuming the one that says sand and compressor, that's my AC compressor. This one's going to be my alternator. I'm going to say that one's going to be my water pump. One of these two has to be a tensioner, and the other one has to be a power steering pump. It also comes with an ATI super damper. And what's in here? Oh, this is the tensioner. Alright, so maybe power steering pump and reservoir? Not sure. So, this one, these ones, that one are the ones I'm most interested in opening, because I believe they're all raw, and I'm going to have to paint them. Yep, so as I suspected, they're all bare. Second tensioner, I forgot there's 2 belts on this system. I kind of wish they didn't already put the pulley on this one, because that's going to make it a pain in the ass to mask off and paint, but I can make it work. So yeah, so I've got my work cut out for me for painting exterior stuff before we get to painting the block. So I think I'm going to do some masking and start doing some painting. Alright, compressor, power steering pump, water pump, 2 tensioners, everything is on here. Stuff that needs to be masked is masked, and I got to degrease everything, and then we're going to throw a coat of primer on it. The alternator is going to be done separately. There's going to be a little bit more disassembly in that, just so I can get all the nooks and crannies and not paint stuff that's not supposed to be painted. Well, we are primed, and once this gets a chance to set and dry, we're going to hit it with this bronze mist, or whatever color this was, I forget, and we're going to see how this color looks. So it's called Dark Bronze Mist Metallic. It's not really dark. It definitely is bronze mist. It's got so much flake in it, it's ridiculous. And I think that's what kept clogging the spray nozzle. But I don't know. What am I stuck on here? Oh, stuck on my extension cord. I mean, I guess it's bronzy. I don't know. We're gonna have to let the boss man look at this tomorrow and see what his thoughts are. So the whole thought process on this was, because if you guys will go back to my walk around and options and whatnot vid of the 71 C10 build, you'll see the interior colors. So we have those dark, oh, they're covered, they're up there though. We have those dark brown leather seats, and we're going to do some lighter brown tan accents in the interior and some black. And his thought was, we'll do this engine this color because it'll bring some of the brown from the cab into the engine bay. It's not really that brown. So it'll be his call when he sees it, see if he wants to keep this or we want to spray it a different color. But I am going to tell him, let's not ever buy this brand of paint again because it was horrible. It clogged 6-7 times on me, and I was only spraying for 20 minutes, so that was a pain in the ass. And it covers like crap. I went through one entire can just doing these things. The first few sprays I sprayed, I was convinced it was a clear coat because almost no color was actually being sprayed and applied to my parts. It took 3-4 coats to get the full color on the parts. So that's going to be, we got 4 bottles total. I'm probably going to need 3 bottles alone just to paint the entire engine and the blower. So he'll make that call. All right, guys, after bringing it over here to dry for the night, I'm still not feeling it a lot. I do remember where I know this color from. This is your Buick Century factory color. I remember this now. I mean, I guess it kind of looks like it. I know it's hard to tell on the phone. I don't know. I'm not really feeling it. We'll have to see what he thinks. Welcome back, ladies and gents. It's the next day. Actually, after this color set overnight, I'm kind of not hating it anymore. Especially, I put the alternator back together. When you have the black accessories on it, it makes it stand out a little bit more. It doesn't look like a silvery color anymore. Now it looks like the brown it's supposed to be. I think one thing I could have done differently was instead of using a gray primer, or even if I did use a gray primer, use a black base first. So this was painted right over the gray primer, and as you know, if you use a gray primer or a black or a gray base, a light base or a dark base over whatever color you have, it's going to change the aspects of that color. I think if I did it over a black base, it would be more darker. That's the right way to say that. It would be the color that it actually was on those old Buick LeSabres, but I mean, I'm actually not hating it now. And so I went through one whole can, so I opened up a second can. The second can is actually spraying amazing, so I think the nozzle on that other can was junk, which is why I was having so many problems with it clogging. But I'm happy with this alternator. This thing looks beautiful altogether, so just going to keep going from here on out. We got a big Summit order coming in today. I'm not sure if it's going to be the parts for this stuff or parts for other stuff we have. But you can see, we'll put it next to the engine. Now you can definitely see when it's sitting next to something else the brown color in it. So I think it's almost there, actually. It's just a tad lighter than it was on the cars, which is fine. It'll still be a good accent on the car or on the truck. And now I can figure out what my next step is on this. Woohoo, we got some parts in. All right, we're gonna pull this pan off, put the gasket in, seal that so the whole bottom end of the engine will be sealed. Then I'm gonna pull plugs, what little sensors are left on this, and sand and degrease this whole thing and get it ready for prime. All right, so all the sensors are off that need to be off. Masked off everything I have to mask. I just got to find a set of junk plugs to throw in these so I can spray it, and then we're going to throw a coat of primer on it and see how everything lays. And if it's nice and smooth like I think it's going to be, then we'll be ready for the booth as soon as it opens. Well, it came out pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. There was no pops or anything in the primer, so I got everything nice and degreased. I did unfortunately have a drop of coolant come out when I was rotating the engine around to spray everything, but that's okay. That'll dry. I can wipe that off, touch that real quick with some more primer. But yeah, everything looks good. Coverage was good. Just gotta wait for the booth to open, but while I'm waiting for that, we are going to mask and spray the blower. Now, unfortunately, they sprayed the blower when they do their coating. They sprayed the pulley as well, I mean. So I'm going to mask that off, sand it down. There is one run right there from them. I'm going to sand this all down and paint the blower, I keep saying blower, pulley black. Rest of the blower is going to be the same color the engine is going to be. And then they also sprayed the boost bypass valve that same gray color, so I just resprayed that in black right now, so that's just going to sit and dry. Probably, I don't know, I gotta see if I have a table, roll around table that I can throw this on to paint. If not, it'll be hung on the rack and put into the spray booth to spray. Also going to be spraying the whole throttle body, but the TPS case is going to be black. I guess I should go over and see who's calling me. Spam call, but as I said, I'm gonna pull this apart and we're going to paint the housing for the TPS black. The rest of this is going to be the same color as the engine and blower as well. Alrighty, so here's where we end the day. The entire long block is primed. The blower is primed. I painted the pulley nice gloss black, so it looks kind of factory-ish. Everything is primed up good. We've got my boost bypass black. We've got my throttle body and TPS. Told you I was going to paint this black and do this the color of the engine. I figured we're going to leave the retainer straps the silver that the original color was on this marine engine. I figured, why not throw a little bit of contrast in there instead of cleaning them off into like the copper color that they are. So between that, and all our other stuff is over here. I'm literally just waiting on them to open up the spray booth, which they've got wood in there right now for one of the boats, and once they're out of there, we can throw a bunch of color on this, bunch of color on that, start assembling this whole bad boy. I gotta tell you, I can't wait to get color on this stuff and get it assembled, because I think this color combo is gonna look the shit, and it's gonna look awesome with the color of the truck and everything. I'm kind of really excited about this. I haven't built a LSA since McDreamy either, so, and I haven't really done a full engine refresh beautification since, what was the last one I did? Sunshine, I believe, the 70 F100. Because the step side, that engine already came painted, and we just changed all the accessories, intake, all that stuff. So yeah, it's been a while since I did a whole engine. What's going on, guys? You ready to paint an engine? Go, minus the valve covers, because remember those are getting replaced. I just have those on there basically to use them as something to mask the upper drivetrain from getting any paint on it instead of masking it off with tape. We are good to go. Pretty much ran out of paint. Like I said before, this stuff covers horribly, even though that second or third can I used sprayed awesome. This can actually started clogging up on me again. Luckily it's empty now, but we are all now dark bronze mist metallic. I'm gonna go one more quick coat over the valley and then we're good. It's gonna sit in the booth and cure overnight. And then I've got to tell the boss man that we need to get more paint because we're also painting the 4L80 to match. So probably, I would say to be safe, 2 more cans. That's it. We're all sprayed. I will see you guys tomorrow when we move it out over into the shop and we can see what it looks like. Well, here we go. We're out of the spray booth. Everything's dried overnight. It's nice and cured. I am starting some assembly on this. We're not doing full assembly on the engine stand, even though I would love to because it would look awesome. It is going to be far easier and less heavy to move this long block over into my frame than it is this completed engine. And then I'll build everything back in the frame. Need to get more paint, like I said yesterday. We still have to paint this entire built 4L80 and the aluminum base plates that are going to mount our small block Chevy valve covers on here. I did some small stuff like put in my cam sensor, my crank sensor, the hardware for those, put in my Low Dollar Motorsports oil pressure sender. I've got to get an oil filter for this. As you can see, I've started putting our Speedway adjustable mounts on. I'm going to get going on this. I'm going to get these mounts on here and snugged up and put our engine lift on it, or our, whatever you call it, straps. Pick it up, bring it over to the frame, drop it in there, then start building everything in the frame. All right, we are hanging, ready to go in. My plan, since I don't have a final engine position yet, you also see we have a good amount of adjustment in our transmission mount, and there's no holes in there, so we're gonna have to drill holes once we get our final placement. My plan is to put this engine as far forward as possible, get this out of here, as close to the frame as possible, and then if we need to, we can adjust it back once the body is all on the frame, and then we can drill and figure out our placement for the transmission mount. So for now, the transmission's going to go in, the mount's going to go on a piece of cardboard between it and this so it doesn't get all scratched up, and it's literally just going to sit there for now. Now, let's get this thing dropped in. I might have to jack the frame up enough. I don't know if the legs of this cherry picker are going to slide under here or not. Usually they don't, so we shall see. Alrighty, let's see if I can get this thing dropped in here. Alright guys, we're in it, we're bolted, we're not tightened up yet. I actually have these mounts, I have the engine pushed as far forward as it would go. And we still have a solid, what's that, almost 2 inches? 1.5 inches of clearance before we even get close to the cross member. So that's good. What this difference is between your stock small block mounts are the center of the mount is at 16 inches, which is right here. We are at about 13.25. So that means we have this engine pushed forward about 3 inches, which is fine. From your mounting pad or your bell housing on your 4L80 to your mount for your transmission cross member is 25 inches. 25 inches puts us right about here, so almost 3 inches back into our mount, so plenty of meat to mount to. So for right now, this is where the engine's going to sit. From as many pictures as I could see online, see, here's the problem with where we always do like a no limit or a roadster shop chassis. Getting my orientation right on a factory chassis is far more critical because the no limit or roadster shop are direct made to fit an LS motor. There's no adapters needed. You bolt pads on your engine, you bolt it down into the frame. But from everything I can see online that I remember, I can't remember the last. Chili Pepper was the last one we did a LS in a stock frame. And that was 2 years ago now, so not like I'm going to remember how we did that one. But it basically, your balancer will be out here somewhere. And from everything I see, your balancer should be kind of in line with this front cross member, which we are, your outside edge of your balancer. So I think we're good. So I'm going to snug all this stuff up. I'm going to have to put a jack under the back of the engine to hold it from tilting down until we get our transmission in here. Also, I did not realize going through our parts, so we have LSA, we have built 4L80, we have torque converter, we have no flywheel. This engine came out of a marine application, so there's no flywheel. So I've got to grab, there's a GM factory part number that fits it, a LSA 8-bolt crank to a 4L80 torque converter bolt pattern. I've got to look it up. I had it memorized at one point, but a whole lot of other numbers have come in, so those numbers got pushed out. But it's quick, easy look up, and when I do find it, I'll put it up here. LSA are an 8-bolt crank. Regular LS is only a 6-bolt, so they're different. And I'm getting blown up on my phone over here. So let me get this engine, everything snugged up, final located, get the frame back down on the ground, get that jack under the back of the transmission, and then we can start putting shiny stuff back on this engine. Guys, unfortunately, I'm looking through the viewfinder on this camera, and it does not do this justice at all. This shade of brown looks fantastic with this shelter green with the flat. Now, what you got to imagine is the fenders, the firewall. I don't know if we're doing the inner fenders color matched or we're doing those black, but the shelter green with gloss, whew, that's gonna pop. All right, let's get to the fun stuff. I think first thing I'm gonna do actually is put our exhaust manifolds on. Actually, because I'm impatient, the first thing I'm gonna do is unmask all our intake ports and sit the blower back on top so we can get a look at what that's gonna look like. All right, wish me luck. This thing's kind of heavy. Oh, you got it, Joe, you got it. You used to lift in high school. Oh, what's my best plan of attack here? I think I'm gonna have to straddle the A-arm. Every muscle is slowly pulling right now. Hey, but we did it. Teamwork makes the dream work. Let me go get that lid. Here we go. Shoo, boy. Look at that thing. Oh, that's gonna be sexy. My. This is gonna be a beautiful engine. I can already tell right now. It's gonna rival McDreamy, because McDreamy, as far as I'm concerned, is still the nicest looking engine I've ever put together. This might be a second strong, or it's definitely a second, but it might be in contention. What we have to find out is how this Billet Specialties front drive looks on it, because I absolutely loved the Wegner kit. So we'll see what happens. All right, now I'm gonna go get my exhaust manifolds and put those on. All right, manifolds are on, looking good. Full disclosure, I had to loosen the motor mount slide adjustments, push it back about 3/4 of an inch, because as you can see, if I was 3/4 of an inch more forward, that would be touching the frame. A lot of variables in this, non-factory motor mounts, non-factory engine, non-factory frame, factory but boxed heavily, so non-factory in that aspect. But yeah, so this engine, like I said, we are going to slide back as far as we can into the firewall until we have about 1 inch of clearance, just so we have this pushback as far as possible. So hopefully, I believe we should have still more than enough to push that back. Usually these kits mount the mounts right up where the small block Chevy mounts are, so this should be able to go back like, 2 more inches, maybe, but we shall see. So, let me get all my parts. We're going to start on this Billet Specialties front kit.